Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 5,000 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 5,000. Enjoy!
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To
to
our
favorite shows!
Oh, my circuit! Everybody loves Hippo Toad! Scary Dog! Pearson at Blurnsville!
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting Network premiere podcast, TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And tonight, our favorite show is Titans, Season 2, brought to you by the good people at DC Universe, Weed Road Pictures, Berlanti Productions, DC Entertainment, and Warner Brothers Television. Better than Warner Brothers movies, I'll tell you that much. Joining me to talk Titans Season 2 is the one and only Get 'em Jit'em, Jesse Starcher. That's Captain Jesse Starcher to all of you.
That's right. Yar, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, hello. I'm glad to be here to talk some Titans Season 2. Just finished it about, 30 minutes ago, I believe. So it was, boy, oh boy, it was a season.
Did you not like this season? Did you struggle with it?
I enjoyed the first good bit of it, and then it felt like, for some reason, we had to wrap stuff up so quickly in the final parts.
Yeah, it kind of does like the loose ends medley at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, and really fast paced. Like, holy crap! I mean, we've been building to this all season, and then all of a sudden, within 15 minutes of that last episode, well, that's resolved. And I was like, what? Okay, what's next? Oh, okay. So yeah, it was. I really enjoyed a lot of moments throughout this season because there is some good stuff that comes out of this. But for some reason, it just felt like it went Mach speed at the very end, which is strange because we had 13 episodes. And when I first started this, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be too long. This is going to be too long. And that didn't bother me too much. But this is almost something where you could say maybe one or two more episodes wouldn't have been too bad, or just figure out a different way to pace that final ending and that final confrontation.
I would not have been upset if they had done away with the entire Dick Grayson
plot
goes to jail bit.
I understand.
Could have lived without that.
Yeah, there's some stuff that could have been cut in order to make the Deathstroke stuff a lot more. At least see more meteor. How's that? And when I say meteor, I don't mean the one that crashes into the earth.
Yeah,
I
I hated the fact that they dealt with the Deathstroke stuff like basically in the first 20 minutes of the last episode, and they're like, well, we still have the stuff with Connor to resolve, so they did that, and then there was the whole setting up for the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they did way too much in this one episode.
Exactly. Sip,
So-
sip.
That was poorly timed. I thought you. Damn it, Jesse! Glad you had more to say. I think I had read that they had one more episode of Titans kind of planned for season 1, but I guess in the production process, they decided to save it for season, as the to make a cliffhanger for season 2. So this season is kind of all over the place because it resolves the Trigon Raven stuff from the first season. It does a little bit more with the Starfire plot line. They start up a new plot, a new story with the reforming of the Titans. And then they did a teaser for Superboy at the end of season 1, which they get into this season.
Mm-hmm. Man, that Trigon stuff, just to go back to that real quick, that blew me away. We resolved that in the first episode.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, this is supposed to be some kind of like epic battle that they're going to have, and we get none of that. It's just like, okay, Trigon we get some spooky stuff going on in that first episode, and then he walks outside, and then that's the end. Episode 1, Trigon's done.
Yeah, that was the problem. Like, they did it, and then I think they would have been better off just leaving that as the season finale of season 1.
Agreed.
Instead of dragging it out into season 2, because it's not, like, nothing that happened in that episode is connected to anything else that happens other than Rachel's crystal, which you could have picked up again, like, they deal with Trigon, and then, you pick it up, and you can pick it up right where they did. And she spends a fair amount of time struggling with controlling her powers with this new crystal in her head. You really didn't have to change any of that, and it would have worked out just fine had they left it all in season 2 and dealt with like, I remember when we talked about this last year or earlier this year, when it ended, and we were like, wow, what a crazy way to end the season. You don't do that if you're not going to bleed more of it into the second season. If you're just like one episode and then you're done, it's like, well, what was the point of that?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I was at. I was like, oh, man, look, it's Trigon. Holy shit, there he goes stomping out into the world. We are going to have ourselves a Donnybrook at some point once these guys get their stuff together. And it's none of that. It falls completely flat. What I was expecting throughout the rest of the season was like, there's no way Trigon's going to go out like a bitch like this. I thought, well, there's going to be some influence in which you kind of maybe could interpret some of the stuff that's going on with Rachel.
Like, don't you think like Trigon should have been making appearances in Rachel's mind?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, throughout
I thought he
the
was
season.
going to be showing up throughout the season.
And maybe see that's the problem. Like, I liked what they were trying to do at the end, which is deal with Deathstroke, but then they also had to deal with a Connor who had become a weapon of Cadmus, and Beast Boy who become a weapon of Cadmus. And I think you might have had a bit more of an interesting ending if Deathstroke had remained the big bad all the way to the very end of the episode. And they think that they've got, this big team of tanks on their side, but Cadmus gets involved, and then, and so Connor turns on them, and now they got to deal with Connor and Deathstroke. Oh, yeah. And Trigon shows up, and now Raven's, out of the mix, and there's the whole team just like breaks down. And if that happens, and the team has to then like super like Wonder Girl and I don't know somebody else have to go deal with Connor. And and Beast Boy, and another part of the team have to go deal with Raven. So that just leaves Nightwing left with Deathstroke. I think that would have been a better way to let Nightwing and Rose. You still get to the same place they got to without it being retarded. He's like, I have a new costume. Y'all can go home now. Okay, and then that's it. That's that whole part of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
More queer than a $3 bill, I tell you.
I didn't like it. And I thought Deathstroke should have probably at least represented more of a threat at the very end. Now, he was a threat throughout the whole series, the whole season. But, he it just felt like there should have been something more in that final battle with Deathstroke. There could have been a lot more at stake. Really, it just felt like Nightwing had things easily in hand, and of course, the Rose and her, her appearance there definitely meant something. But I just felt like that was lacking. And then it's like I said, I remember looking at the time of the episode, and I'm like, oh, man, we're only 15 minutes into this episode now, and Deathstroke's done.
Wouldn't it have been great if the last episode was only 20 minutes?
Oh, my gosh. Well,
and we're done. Thanks.
At one point, I was
Titans, everybody.
That last episode, it just was... Okay, so we had the Cadmus stuff. I know we're all over the place, and we're kind of almost jumping to the end, so I don't want to... If you had a method to your madness, I don't want to jump all over it.
Well,
do you have anything you want to say before we talk about some of the big stuff that happened at the end?
Well, I kind of just wanted to thread the whole arc of the second season. So, but I had to talk about how the fact that they did Trigon, and then it was they just start. It's like Trigon's the last chapter of the first book that they for some odd reason stuck in the second book. Mm-hmm. Which, as I say that out loud, I'm reminded of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And go with me on this for a second.
Okay.
There's stuff that happens in the second movie or the third movie that happens in a different book. I think there's a lot of stuff that happens in the third movie that's still in the second book. And so, I get the idea of, things that don't always line up, and, having, this small... I think my problem was not so much that they saved Trigon for the second season, that they did so little with him. Is what I was saying before. Mm. But because it does feel I keep using the book analogy. If Titan Season 1 was one book, they pulled the last chapter out of it and stuck it in the second book. Which I think you can do, but try being a little bit more delicate and artful with it. Not, here it is, okay, it's over now. We're done. Trigon go bye-bye. But then you spend a large part of the story that they were really telling, and this is another reason why I didn't love the way they dealt with the Trigon stuff, was Deathstroke learning that Grayson was putting the Titans back together, and then he has that line from the Jeff Johns iteration that we talked about on Monday, children shouldn't wear masks.
Yeah.
And so there's that whole subplot with Jericho, which is done a little bit differently in the show than it is in the comic book, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. So you have this whole idea of Deathstroke being out there and the team having to deal with him once and them realizing that he was too powerful. So they needed an edge, and they manipulated his son. But then it turns out that his son, was a good dude, and they tried to make amends. And Deathstroke accidentally kills his, we believe, accidentally kills his own son in the process of trying to kill Robin. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what causes the Titans to break up in the first place, and Deathstroke kind of just leaves them alone after that. And then when he realizes they're coming back together, he's like, no, not this time, not again. Mm-hmm. And that's what sets the whole thing in motion. And that really could have been alone, good enough of a plot for season 2. But then you had the Cadmus stuff, which they really only focused on for one episode. The episode where you're introduced, where you get the whole flashback to how Connor ended up in the street when he saves Jason Todd. You get the whole backstory to that. And then you get a little bit later on when Connor and Beast Boy end up being taken prisoner by Cadmus. But that's all they really do with it. You don't get any further exploration of what Cadmus is, what the intention is, what the relationship to Lex Luthor is. They just sort of exist, and they kind of just leave it with, well, Connor's half Superman, half Lex Luthor. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. They're the big, scientific evil corporation that's out there to just kind of possibly breed super soldiers and turn around and sell them. That is the impression I got anyway from of Cadmus throughout this season, and that's a trope that's been used in plenty of sci-fi and
Well, I was going to say in
TV
the
shows.
Reign of the Supermen, Superboy was the half Superman, half Lex Luthor clone, but I think he had a more stated purpose from Lex Luthor, didn't he? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was inhaling sharply as because I do not remember that. I don't remember him being part of. I don't remember him being half Lex Luthor. I remember the one in Titans being, because the Superboy we have in there. Well, no, I think it is the same. My goodness, I can't remember for sure because they aren't two separate people. It's that 90s 2000s DC that I'm blanking on.
Do you want to go down the wiki rabbit hole?
Superboy. Now, for some reason, I'm thinking they're two separate people, but they are. I'm pretty sure they're not.
But there's Superboy Prime, who I think is Mon-El, and then there's Superboy Connor, who I could have sworn was the Superboy that's part of the Reign of the Supermen from after Superman gets killed by Doomsday.
I'm looking through here just to see what we had. So Superboy Volume 3, 1994 to 2002. So, yes. And, well, okay, yeah, you're right. Superboy is Con-El. And this is DC's Death of Superman story. A new Superboy was introduced. Unlike previous characters bearing the name, this Superboy is a clone created to replace the seemingly dead Superman rather than simply being an adolescent Clark Kent. And we find out that Project Cadmus created him. Now, it doesn't say anything about... I'm looking through here just to see if it says anything about Lex Luthor. Well, obviously back then, I don't think we find out about that. We find out about that in the Teen Titans that we just read.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the same people then, right? Am I right? Con-El and Connor?
I believe you are correct.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that for right now, or I'm going to have to read more, and I don't want to bring the podcast down too far. But yeah, okay. So they are the same people.
The Metropolis Kid. When Superboy arrived in Metropolis, he used the name Superman. While glibly asserting he was the original Superman, he quickly rebuked any insinuation that he was the original Superman. In fact, he told anyone who'd listen that he was a clone of Superman. This revelation was revealed to Lois Lane, but she was not interested. This prompts the Kid to turn to another reporter, Tana Moon, who breaks the story live on WGBS. 3 other Supermen emerge simultaneously: the Man of Tomorrow, the Cyborg Superman, the Last Son of Krypton, the Eradicator, and the Man of Steel. After the original Superman returned, Superboy began operating alongside him as an independent hero for a time, refusing to give credence to the idea that he was a sidekick of Superman. He rejoined Cadmus and began working as a field agent. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, go ahead.
He also learns that he is not a clone of Superman, but rather genetically engineered to be a Kryptonian as Kryptonian as possible, although his genes originate from the human DNA of Paul Westfield, director of the government sector known as Project Cadmus, that had created the Kid. So that was Con-El's nickname, apparently. Man, I don't know, dude. This is one of those DC nosebleeds that we're going to get into, dude. I'm telling you.
Let's go with it.
I'm perfectly fine with that. We are not going to be claiming as DC historians here, so folks, we're going with it.
After the death of Superman at the hands of the Kryptonian monster Doomsday, Project Cadmus executive director Paul Westfield, not to be confused with Paul Winfield, the actor, wanted to create a clone replacement of Superman that would follow the agendas of Project Cadmus. Okay, so everything I said
sounds right. Okay,
yes.
That sounds right.
That being said, they kind of allude to that in the series, but they never really do much with it. And then at the end, there's just a big old fight.
I think the big, just like you said earlier, the big thing is him trying to rectify the fact that he's half Superman, half Lex Luthor, and which side is going to show up. And
like reconcile, you mean?
What did I say? Rectify?
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. I meant reconcile. So yes, he's trying to figure out which side is going to kind of take over, or which side is going to, influence his next decisions.
Yeah. And that's all good character stuff. But like I said, because they had a lot of balls in the air, and so some of this stuff didn't get fleshed out maybe as much as I would like to have. The Starfire stuff, they allude to... Now, this is different from her actual origin, because if I remember correctly, like, her race is gone, isn't it? In the comics. And, like, she was, like a sex slave or something like that when the Titans find her.
Don't remember.
Damn it!
Well, actually, no, I think you're right, because we covered that on our the first coverage of Teen Titans from the 80s.
Yes.
And I do remember, like, her being on the ship and not being able to talk, and she's completely out of her element.
Yeah, like, remember, like, kissing is how they greet each other in her world? She plants a nice one on Robin.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
So in this one, her race still exists, and she's, of course, a queen, and and she's been gone too long because she was dealing with the Raven situation, and so they're apparently going to deal more with this in season 3. But for the little bit you get out of season 2, her story is one of the guards trying to bring her back, and she locks him in the ship.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the stinger at the end. Also, is Blackfire, her sister, trying to come back and be? I don't know if she's trying to give her a hard time or what, or try to bring her back to Tamaran. But then she deals with her at one point, and then she shows up again at the very end. So I assume that's where we're going to start off if there is a season 3 of this. Is there? Has that been?
Yeah, they've already been cleared for season 3.
Okay, all right. So yeah, we'll be seeing that, which I didn't know. I didn't know that she had a sister. So that was all that was new to me in the series.
And I think finally, again, you still have Raven kind of struggling with her powers. You have Hawk and Dove. They have a little. This is what I mean by, like, this was very heavily laden with a lot of B plots. Mm-hmm. Hawk and Dove's B plot is, Hawk trying to stay off drugs, and them kind of being forced back into the superhero life that, like, Dove was actively trying to keep him out of. But she couldn't give up, if you'll recall.
That's right.
Like, she's still out there fighting, and he's like, "What the fuck, dude?" And she's like, "Well, stop shooting heroin."
All I wanted to do was just ride my horses and show somebody else how to ride a horse.
Yep.
You got to go out there and fight crime.
Well, she's like, "Well, stop shooting H, and you can come with me."
The old horse.
Yeah, he's riding a horse, all right. Nay.
I say thee nay.
And then you have Donna Troy, whose whole thing was Aqualad got killed by Deathstroke.
Oh, yes, the old sad boyfriend death. That was... I was kind of upset. I mean, Aqualad shows up for one episode, and then he gets taken out, not on purpose. It was an accident, but of course he kind of stepped in front of the bullet immediately and got killed. And she's really upset about it throughout the whole... So she's got an axe to grind for sure, against old Deathstroke here. So
that's it. That wraps up. That's pretty much all of the B and C plot for season 2. I think there's not a whole lot more to say about the Trigon stuff. I just they defeated him, I think, a little too easily. I feel like, when you think about how it looks in the comic versus what they did in the show, you can clearly see what happens when you don't have a budget.
Yeah, I mean, if you are struggling for a budget, you're not going to have an intergalactic space war against a humongous, 40-foot demon. So, not happening on the small screen. So
I think they did their level best to make that as interesting as they could, but I think that was the other part of it was like, well, we really can't keep doing this every episode, so they'll do a thing and he'll be defeated and then we'll move on. I think once I got over the Trigon hump, I actually liked the first couple of episodes of season 2. The whole idea of the band getting back together and him Dick trying to reconstitute the Titans, the introduction of Rose. I think all that worked really, really well. In as far as, you know, like the story that they were telling, and the tentativeness, like he saw the need to have the Titans to be there as a place for like wayward metahumans to go when there was nowhere else, you know, and to give them purpose. So I think all that works. You know, and he's weighing that against the fact that Jericho got killed, Aqualad got killed, and there's all this enormous guilt. So, you know, and then you of course you have Jason Todd, who just wants to go out there and kick some ass. and he's like brushing up against Dick's tentativeness. So let me put a pause on that for just a second. And like, so what did you think of the first couple of episodes of the season?
Okay, so we finally get to meet Bruce Wayne, who is Batman. I don't remember him being in season 1, but
he was not.
Okay, all right. So let's just say that this Bruce Wayne kind of took me by surprise. I don't know if it was one of those things where I didn't feel like the character was being represented very well by the actor.
He was not.
Or if it was the writing. I mean, there was a lot of dialogue that came out of this guy's mouth that made me go, this just does not feel like Batman.
He was playing him like okay, so his like the only Batman he's aware of is the 60s God. What's the actor's name? Adam West.
I was going to say, I know Burt Ward. I can't remember Adam. Okay, Adam West.
Adam West. Yeah, it's like I feel like, okay, we want you to play Batman, right? Have you seen Batman before? Are you familiar with the character? Absolutely, I got this. And especially the one episode where he's a ghost
and he's dancing on the stage,
fucking dancing.
Yep. I was like, that is Adam West all the way. My gosh.
I wanted him to do the Batusi. Like, if you're gonna do it, fucking lean into it.
Yeah,
just Captain Yarface that shit.
And he is back. Yeah. So Batman aside, Rose was, reading the book and seeing Rose pop up on the screen. I kind of thought, well, I know what we're getting into here, and she was okay, I guess. I mean, she was definitely the kind of the emo. Can you trust her? Can you not trust her? Them bringing her into the team, I knew immediately was a mistake, and I think that you didn't even have to read the book and understand what happened in there before you saw what was going to occur in the episode. So, Dr. Light, by the way, shows up apparently in. I don't think he shows up, but at least he's kind of bringing the Titans together by trying to kill. He tries to kill Hawk and Dove at one point. Tries to kill Dick and Rose as Dick's taking Rose to like drop her off somewhere, and then all of a sudden, their car explodes. So Dr. Light is making these rounds, and I thought that was a throwaway character, but it was still. I like the guy. I can't remember who the actor is that plays him. I've seen him in other stuff, but I really liked him playing Dr. Light. I thought it was pretty cool. Other than that, as for the first 2 episodes, I don't really have
Michael Mosley, by the way.
Michael Mosley. What else has he been in? Because I want to say he was in something I just watched recently. I want to say it was some kind of a cop show.
He was in Peppermint.
Nope.
Which nobody saw.
Yep.
He was in Hot Pursuit.
Nope.
Which nobody saw.
He's in a TV show. He's in another TV show.
Titans.
Okay.
He was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, okay. And
he's in. He's Franco McCoy. He was in the episode "The Crime Scene."
Okay, I think I recognize this.
He
now.
was also Pastor Mason Young in Ozark.
Fucking Ozarks. Yes. Okay. Yep. There you go. That's exactly what I remember him from. He was the pastor that killed his baby. Decided not to.
He was also on Justified for 3 episodes.
Haven't seen that.
You're missing out.
Not. That's what I've heard.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What?
Oh my god!
What is it?
He's Raymond Wiley on The Wire.
There should be, okay, skip the whole 7 degrees or whatever, 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon. It's all got to be 6 degrees of The Wire.
Perfect.
You can pull it all back to that. What movie was he in? I swear I saw. Nothing rings a bell there. But either way, I like the guy. I think he's a good actor. So
Was
I like
it
Doctor.
your nobody till somebody kills you?
No. I'm looking through all those. I don't even recognize anything.
Was it The Proposal?
Maybe.
Was it 27 Dresses?
Maybe. I don't know. I do not know. So anyway, I don't have anything else on the first 2 episodes. That's kind of like what I have noted down.
All right. So as it moves on, and they realize that Dr. Light is kind of a Trojan horse for Deathstroke, and they're dealing with that. We kind of take a break, and we deal with the Connor situation, and then we have an entire episode that's just dedicated, as I said before, to how Connor got out of Cadmus. What did you think of? What did you think of how they handled Connor?
Oh, I thought it was okay. I really liked that storytelling because the previous episode to that is where Dick fights Deathstroke and Jason is being held hostage. And Jason is dropping and I thought Jason was going to die. I legitimately was like, this is where he is going to, instead of killing him off, they're going to having Joker kill him off. They're going to have Deathstroke kill him off, and we wouldn't see Jason again. And this is going to.
Let me say right now, if Jason Todd doesn't get beat to death by Joker, surrounded by Star Wars fans.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, angry Star Wars fans with signs and T-shirts that says "Not my Star Wars." Mm-hmm. Okay, and
all around him.
All around Joker, just cheering him on, saying, kill him, kill him, then it will not be the way that Jason Todd should die.
They wrote him in a fashion for this season that made me feel a little bit more sympathetic than I did at the end of last season, that's for sure.
Oh my god, he's so much better this season.
Yes.
He is worlds apart better than he was. Like, the first season, he is just an intolerable douchebag.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember just being practically flat out disgusted with the way he was, like, taking those cops out. And I'm like, man, that's not fucking Robin, man. That is not the way a Robin should act. But that's the thing. That's the way Jason Todd would have come off, most likely.
Right.
So I understood where they were going with that. Now, in this season, I mean, they definitely play him up as more of a sympathetic character, and he's definitely got his issues. But you now understand, like, some of the shit that he's trying to go through.
Yeah, I'm okay with Jason Todd this year. I like the actor playing him. I think he does a pretty good job of getting that character, like, nailing that character. Mm-hmm. And I like what they do with him this season. Just please, whoever is working on these shows, only Joker can kill him with a crowbar.
But back to Connor. Yeah, I like the way that they handled him. I thought it was interesting that, he comes out of that lab, and that's actually like almost him being birthed to the world. I don't know if he's got a whole lot of experience dealing with anything else before he walks out and grabs his dog and leaves the place, because he's obviously, mid-teens, he's 17, 18 years old, whatever, but he's got the mind of like a 3-year-old, and he's just learning. And it led to some very funny parts in that episode dedicated to him, where he walks out and he sees the shirt, he takes the shirt, and the guy's like, "You need money." So he goes and stops a lady from getting her purse snatched, and then when he does that, she's obviously terrified because of the power that he has in order to take this dude out, and she mentions money, and he's like, "Oh, can I have some?" And he proceeds to take her fucking purse. And yeah. I was like, okay, that's that's pretty funny.
I like the idea of like that stranger in a strange land. Like basically he's an infant with, you know, Superman's powers, and so he doesn't understand how things work. You know, he's like taking the shirt, like you said, and he's like, "You need money for that." He's like, "Well, how do I get money?"
What's
you know?
money?
Later on, I loved this scene where, you know, like he's been bonding with Beast Boy after recovering from being shot. And, you know, he's like, we save people. And so he sees the one guy who, of course, like, oh, the cops are hurting me.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
And he fucking just throws cops everywhere. And Beast Boy's like, well, we're all gonna die.
He just kind of saunters backwards slowly and then turns around and runs full sprint.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm out of here.
That was all brilliant. I have to, like I said, the writing on this show, if you knock the Trigon episode out and the Nightwing episode out, is actually pretty solid. Like, there's really only, I would say there's 2 episodes I didn't love, and then just a B-plot story that went over about 2 episodes, 2 to 3 episodes, where I was like, this is dumb. Like, this is another situation where we could have gotten where we needed to go without the stupid sidetrack in 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm. This is, to really kind of sum this up, Titans is a team series. Titan Season 2 is a team series where you're not going to get very much of a team until maybe the very final episode. The rest of they're usually broke up doing something on their own, or we're looking at backstory. Go ahead.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, I don't really feel like we got to see the team fight together.
Well, I mean, you're kind of right.
Because at the end, Nightwing and Rose take on Deathstroke and win somehow. Mm-hmm. And then the team is still, like, fighting each other when Connor and Beast Boy show up. I can't remember if there was anybody else they took. Yeah, that was it, right?
Well, I mean, I remember they were kind of gelling together when they had to fight Connor. That was it. So you're right. I mean, they were still fighting each other at the end. So the very final bit is where I think it's Beast Boy says, hey, there's something that came over the scanner, and you see all of them actually walking down an alley together.
Right.
So that's it. So, yeah, you're right. I don't think there's really much in this season where they are fighting together.
No, which is kind of irritating. I brought it up a couple of times. Let me 2 things. One, let me ask you what you thought of the Jericho storyline, especially compared to the comic that we just read. And what did you think of their resolution to how they handled Jericho jumping out of Deathstroke's body?
Oh yeah, it was very similar. Obviously, I was talking about this last night with you, that this was very close to that Jeff Johns first 12 issues, where Jericho, I didn't expect that to happen in this season. I didn't expect to actually happen.
Did you pick up that he jumped into Deathstroke when Grayson went to his home?
No, I didn't. Not initially, but when the reveal happened and you find out and he's sitting there in the cell and he goes back through what happened in his mind, that kind of floored me. I was like, okay, that's badass, because they're following the book, very similar to the book, and you know, it made it that much more interesting. So yeah, as for Jericho and them handling his character, this felt like it had obviously a little bit more depth, because what we read compared in the book had all that history behind it, and we just kind of picked up right near the end almost. So yeah, I mean, Jericho, you know, is the son of this mercenary who, I mean, he's just on the bad end of a deal when one of the guys that apparently has come to try and stop Deathstroke and his family is caught in the middle. Jericho gets his throat slit, loses his voice, and then the Titans kind of growing, using him. The Titans using him to kind of get to Deathstroke. That that was pretty interesting. I was well, you know what? At first, I thought was going to happen was when Dick says that he killed Jericho. I was like, oh shit! There's no way that he took revenge on Jericho because Aqualad died. No way. And I almost believed it. But of course, that's not exactly what happened. Now, as for what happened at the end, where Jericho and Deathstroke are in the same body at the same time. Same thing that happens in the book, but Jericho is more suppressed, and apparently Deathstroke has learned to kind of keep him suppressed. And then at that final battle, they're able to kill Deathstroke, and right before Deathstroke dies, he jumps in to Rose's body, which, okay, all right. So now I'm wondering if Jericho can, I don't know if he's going to try and take control of Rose at any point later on down the line, or those two are just going to work together. We're going to have the Wonder Twins in one body. I don't know, something weird. And then they're going to...
I hope Jericho takes over Rose's body while she's banging Jason Todd.
No.
I'm shipping Jason Todd and Jericho.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
And lo, there was much fanfic.
That's weird. I mean, to each his own, but I mean, that's... I don't know. I don't know how I would handle that if you went into it thinking one thing and all of a sudden it became another. Whoa, I wasn't expecting this.
And Jason Todd hits himself with a crowbar.
Well, I don't know. Boy, we're getting into freaking Black Mirror
territory.
Jeez.
I'm just having fun, ladies and gentlemen.
So, anyway, yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to handle Jericho. I like the fact that the Teen Titans, respected Jericho enough and liked Jericho enough that they at one point did not want to continue to use him to get to Deathstroke. And that's what almost broke the team up originally. They were just like, stop, So I like that. It was very unfortunate. I mean, I loved explaining this to Caleb. Caleb come into this series, I think we had 3 episodes left. So he comes in at the third to last episode. And then I was like, dude, I've got to catch you up on everything. And he thought everything, I explained the whole Jericho thing to him and he thought it was amazing. He's like, oh, that's so awesome. So it's obviously kept my son entertained, and he liked watching some of the flashbacks as we went through it, but it was okay.
All right, so just kind of wrapping things up. I got two points I want to discuss, and then I'm pretty much ready to go. Unless there's something else you got a burning desire to talk about. Mm-hmm. So after Dick goes to confront Deathstroke, he's just overwhelmed with guilt, and Deathstroke's basically never talk to anybody in the Titans again, and I won't try to kill you all. Mm-hmm. And it's instead of just going back to Detroit, he's still I don't think he ever left his job.
Oh, this arc was weird.
This was ass stupid. He's he's so overcome by guilt or whatever that he puts himself in prison for assaulting a law enforcement officer. Okay, terrific. And then they just spent so much time with him, and of course he gets the bit where he gets himself thrown into segregation, and so now he's hallucinating Batman, and his hallucinations taunting him, come on, dummy. And
he has a whole sparring fight with the hallucination at one point,
right? And so, and it all leads to basically him realizing that Jericho didn't die as such; he jumped into fucking Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I'm all forgiven. I'm absolved."
And it's almost like he's a different person too. When he first shows up to fight Deathstroke that second time, and he lands on the hood of that car, and
I kept waiting for him to turn into Neo.
Oh, dude,
he's just blocking with one hand, nonchalantly.
Yeah, it's oh, hey, I've got the power of self-confidence. And he drops down there. Like, granted, he's got the new suit. He's become Nightwing, which was a big deal.
Sure.
I mean, that was a big deal. And he's got some new weapons and stuff. But
this was not fleshed out well at all.
Yeah, he just comes down there and he's, he doesn't seem like the Nightwing. I don't know, man. He seems way overconfident for what's been going on. He should be able to get down in there. And I thought there should be a little bit more self-doubt, but
I was okay with him having confidence. It seemingly came out of nowhere, is my issue. And again, this should have, like, his whole thing, the conclusion to his arc, his growth, should have been reuniting the team. Like, the whole season, he keeps going off by himself, or, like, he tells the younger recruits, like, stay here, it's too dangerous for you. And the whole thing was, we have to learn to work together, and you have to learn to trust and know that Raven, Beast Boy, and Jason Todd are able to hold their own. You have to have faith. You can't let the guilt over Jericho and Aqualad utterly deteriorate every relationship you have or will have in the future. And instead, he does none of that. And he's just like, I got this, y'all.
He's down there fighting one of the, earlier in the season, you watch him go through one of the most hellacious battles with Deathstroke. And he's on the ground, he's bleeding. Even in that flashback, he's getting his ass handed to him. He goes and faces Deathstroke this final time, and he's like making jokes. Or I think somebody says, Dick, is that you? And he's like, in the flesh. And he's got like this big old smile on his face. And I'm like, dude, that's Deathstroke in front of you. Okay? Right. Don't take your eyes off the ball here, sir.
I think I said to you yesterday, I was like, this whole season is like awkward, like starts out really awkward, then it's like smooth and it's great, and then it gets to the end and it just goes off a cliff. Mm-hmm. This whole last episode sucked. Like, the Nightwing suit looks good, but it looked equally as cool on Ricochet, so who cares? So it's like that's not enough, Like, I feel like the writers were like just really lazy and burnt out by the end of it. They were like, how do we want to end this? Like, what do we want to do? Like, I don't know. Nightwing shows up and kicks his ass. Terrific. Print.
Done.
Yeah. Like, so I hated So, do you have anything else to say about the whole Dick Grayson goes to prison? Because I thought that sucked too.
Yeah, can't say it bothered me that bad, but it was part of the show. I wasn't bored by it. I thought it was neat to see him. The purpose of him going to prison was just like you said. It was asinine. I mean, like he's got his bags. He's ready to go somewhere and maybe like thinks some things through, and then makes the decision to go punch an air traffic, or wait a second, hold on a second, a security guard,
TSA agent.
Yeah, he goes and punches an armed security guard, and in order to go to jail, pleads guilty and goes to jail. Like
prison.
Even Batman was like, "You're going to be in here how long?" And he's like, 7 years. I'm like, 7 years? It's that bad, Dick Grayson, that you got to go to jail for 7 years?
Yeah, it's really dumb. And then, by the way, he doesn't get absolved of his crime. He just escapes. Now he's committed another felony, by the way.
He's on the run. That's what I thought. I was like, he's actually broke out of jail. Yeah, and he's on the books as Dick Grayson. I mean, it's not like there's going to be an APB put out for Dick Grayson, and he's never going to be able to show his face anywhere.
I feel like the writers of this just did a lot of lazy, stupid stuff, and were like, oh, well, don't like what if neckbeards deconstruct it? Like, oh, fuck those guys. All right.
They read comics. The fuck they know.
Exactly. So Donna Troy did nothing the entire season except mope.
And then die.
You've heard of Tool and Die? She's mope and die.
Yeah, there you go. She did a couple cool things with her lasso. And that was like featured in one episode.
Yeah.
Where she put the whammy on one of the guys from Project Cadmus. Yeah, she doesn't
was utterly fucking wasted in this show.
And Deathstroke kicks her ass, and at one point comes close to killing her. So it's like, I don't know. I have a big issue, and this was a note that I had here. I have a big issue with the way that she died.
Yeah, it was dumb.
She goes, set the scene. It's a carnival. Beast Boy just got done mauling a few policemen.
Like you do.
Yes. And, everything is pretty much kind of resolved. When, Beast Boy is back to normal. Connor has kicked Project Cadmus's ass.
All is forgiven.
Everybody's fine. And then some girl forgets her damn doll. Dove walks over to go get the doll, hands it to her, and then the fucking merry-go-round it starts to fall. Now, Superboy is standing 6 feet away from them. He didn't fly off, did he? He's still there.
He's still right there, just jerking off.
He's still right there. So this Ferris wheel or whatever it is starts to fall, and here comes Wonder Girl. She runs over. Donna Troy is able to stop that thing from falling down, but lo and behold...
And the invincible, immortal goddess gets electrocuted.
She gets electrocuted, of all things.
Like, the people... Like, on the one hand, like, you can tell the people working on this show are familiar with the books and have respect for it, and that's all great. But then they do stuff like that, and it's like, now I'm not convinced you know anything about the books.
It's rushed. I mean, it seriously felt like, again, supports your argument that was rushed. I looked up her abilities here. Now, okay, fine. Maybe she has a tolerance of electricity like a human. I cannot, just from what I'm seeing, really narrow it down.
Gonna go ahead and say, once again, immortal goddess.
She has, okay, here, listen to this. Powers and abilities. This is from DCFandom.com. Divine empowerment. As a magical replicate of Diana, Donna possesses most of her powers. At various times, she has lost and gained her powers, even abilities unique to her. She has accelerated healing. She has charisma, flight, psychic link, superhuman agility, superhuman durability, superhuman reflexes, speed, stamina, strength, longevity. There's your immortal. So yeah, Mark, I mean, if you're going to say anything, accelerated healing and superhuman durability are going to throw a wrench into the old is it?
I like being electrocuted. I could have lived with she got knocked out, and
maybe injured enough to where she has to go back to Themyscira to heal some way, or she's got to be back on sacred ground.
Yeah, I would have been okay with that too. I would have been, okay with she's now super injured and she has to go back to Themyscira. Fine, whatever. Like I'm not trying to be like that guy. Like, well, technically, but this was beyond the pale.
Mm-hmm.
This was fucking stupid. This is you're either too lazy to write a decent ending. Like, does the actress not want to come back? Is the issue?
No, I don't know. It feels like to me like the writers were like, okay, we can't have everything end on a happy note. We've got to have somebody die here. Well, who did the least in the season?
Drop it on fucking Dove then. Dove, who is the most useless character in this whole fucking thing.
She's so pretty, though.
She's like hot buttered milk, buttermilk biscuits. But she's a fucking... How many ninjas do we need on this team?
True.
What is Dove's superpower? That she wears a stupid costume?
She has no... I'm going to look it up, but I'm fairly certain that Dove does not have superpowers. Because she doesn't in this... And I think her and Hank, I mean, that was the whole thing in this series, is that they're just two vigilantes that kick a lot of ass.
Yeah, they're running around in fucking cosplay outfits punching people.
Mm-hmm.
Yippee skippy.
Oh my goodness!
Like,
Both
if you have
Hawks
to
and-
kill somebody, kill fucking Dove.
Both Hawks and Dove's powers rely on a danger sense that allows them to tap into their abilities. For Hawk, that means access to superhuman durability, strength, and stamina, as well as claws. For Dove, it means superhuman endurance, strength, and agility. So now that's not brought forth at all in the Titans series.
No, they're just fucking ninjas.
Yeah, they're just people out having a good time. I mean, fucking, there's an episode called Faux Hawk, where Hawk is just a cage fighter on coke.
So good. Yeah, I understand like the need to create some emotional stakes. So, you got to kill off one of the characters. You don't kill off fucking Wonder Girl unless the actress is like, this show is dumb. I want to go do Shakespeare in the Park. Mm-hmm. Then, okay, I get it. But find another way for her to then leave the show. If you're gonna kill a character, drop a fucking Ferris wheel on top of Dove's head. She has no superpowers and would absolutely die.
Donna Troy is portrayed by Connor Leslie, and I don't see. Let me take a look and see if they have any news here recently. Oh wait, Titans season 3. This is Screen Rant as of 3 days ago. Titans season 3 may bring Donna Troy back to life, teases actor.
Okay.
Like you couldn't see that coming. Yeah, the only other note I had in red here, we should have brought this up when I was talking about Dr. Light. Dr. Light got killed to a truncated version of Nickelback's Raw theme.
Yeah. That is correct, sir. Fantastic.
Yep, spectacular.
Absolutely.
I don't have anything else to say. I mean, I enjoyed myself during. I could tell you that the first 6 or 7 episodes, I think I sent you a message, or I sent somebody a message, and I was like, this is actually really good this season. I like it.
Yeah, another thing, I don't want to sound like I'm being totally negative. There's a lot about this season I really liked. Donna Troy's demise I thought was retarded. It ended too lazily. It ended too quickly. In terms of when we finally got to the end, and I thought the Dick Grayson stuff in the prison was unnecessary, and the Trigon stuff ended too easily. But those are my complaints. But there's a lot in the middle of that was handled really well. I love the stuff they did with Connor. Mm-hmm. I wish they had fleshed out the Cadmus stuff a bit more. But ultimately, he's kind of my favorite character in this entire season. The guy playing him has an earnestness about him. That a wide-eyed, Joe-eyed, what's this? And walks into a bus, that kind of thing. I love that. I love the idea of this invulnerable character being an oversized infant. I thought all that was great. I thought the stuff with the scientist and him in the flashback episode, I thought all that was great.
Did you notice something very different from the book with Connor than we got in this series? And that is the fact that he knows how to appreciate a dog in Titan Season 2.
He certainly does.
Crypto's his buddy in this one.
Yep. Perfect.
Not a pain in the ass.
All right. I'm done talking.
All right, Mark Radulich. So am I. I had a good time. Like I said, I'll be looking forward to watching Season 3. I hope that... I was curious how this will all be moved at some point to... Was it HBO Max? Is that the one that's going to be absorbing?
I've heard two different things. I've heard that they're going to exist as parallels to each other. I've heard they're going to share content. So who knows?
Who knows?
Streaming
is. I mean, Disney just hit the scene, so I'm thinking that's probably going to impact a lot of people's decisions as to whether they're going to be doing many streaming services.
So, Captain Starface.
Captain Starchface.
Captain Starchface. Let me ask you an important question. We just talked about Titan Season 2, Disney universe that takes place in a at the very least a parallel universe in the Berlanti verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which are you gonna watch Crisis on Infinite Earths this Sunday?
Oh, Possibly. Depends on how much free time I have. We have a few things going on around the house.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
Don't you have like 9,000 people that are coming on that show? Like you're going to have a Crisis of Infinite guests?
No, that's Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the Mandalorian.
No, and fucking The Rise of Skywalker. Boy, the people just lining up around the block. But no, the actual... We're not talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths until it ends, and it won't end until January. But it's a 5-part series. The first 3 episodes are Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday this week.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And then they're breaking it up and not doing the other final 2 until January?
That is correct, sir. One night. A 2-hour finale event.
Wow, sir. So I know I'll watch it, most likely. I think I watched Crisis on Earth X, and the one before that, which was... What was the one before that? Oh, I've asked this question.
Elseworlds was last year.
Okay, I didn't watch any of Elseworlds, I don't think.
You missed nothing.
From what I understand, nobody was like talking about how awesome it was, so apparently that's correct.
Because it wasn't.
Okay.
Like, Elseworlds was basically like a 0 issue for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
And was it a Batwoman promotion as well?
I mean, it was the backdoor pilot to bring Batwoman into the Berlantiverse.
Okay, all right.
But her whole... Basically, Elseworlds was... I want to say Psycho Pirate. Some character who actually was in Swamp Thing, as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, gets a hold, is given... They start alluding to the Anti-Monitor in Elseworlds, and the Monitor is basically running around trying to find people who could be strong enough to fight the Anti-Monitor.
Oh, okay.
And so he gives this book that rewrites reality to, I can't remember the character's name. I want to say it's Psycho Pirate. I might be wrong because I know Psycho Pirate is a part of it towards the end, but it doesn't matter. He gives it to this one character, and the first thing he does is he rewrites the universe to where Barry Allen is the Arrow and Oliver Queen is the Flash.
Oh, that's right. They switched. That's right.
And they recruit Supergirl, and they end up going to Gotham to go find this guy, and that's when they run into Batwoman.
Okay.
That's it. That's basically how we get there, and then they do something, and the guy rewrites reality again, and this time Supergirl's sister doesn't know who she is. Barry and Oliver are the 2 crooks. I can't remember. Something brothers. I don't remember who they are.
Smothers Brothers.
Sure. The Blues Brothers. The
Blues Brothers. That's been a fun universe to see.
And the Tyler Hoechlin version of Superman is evil Superman.
Oh, man. Which one of those characters looked at the screen and went, release the Snyder Cut?
Perfect. Anyway, yeah, Elseworlds was retarded.
Okay.
Elseworlds looked like it was going to be awesome. And it was this is... You could tell, what they really wanted to do was Crisis on Infinite Earths. But let's test the waters and see what we can get away with. And so they did it, and the CW was oh, this is great. Here, have 5 hours of television to tell this ridiculous crossover story. Perfect. Crisis on Earth X was much better.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that when I watched it. So, oh man, I hope to. I just don't know if I'm going to be on top of it like you guys are going to be. But that's a nice little chunk of time in between the finale too. Get everybody talking.
If you haven't seen them, Crisis on Earth X was really good, and Invasion was really good.
Yeah, I remember Invasion and Earth X, so I remember those two.
Yeah. Elseworlds,
but I do know.
Skip.
Okay. I do know we're still covering Crisis on Infinite Earths on source material, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh man. Get out. Get you a pillow, set it under your ass, because it's going to be a long haul, sir.
Perfect.
Some dense material.
All right. With that said, We mentioned it earlier. We talked Teen Titans issues 1 through 12 by Jeff Johns on Monday. We did a review of Knives Out on Tuesday. Jesse and I pissed off the internet during our review of Rings of Saturn. Get him,
That guy does not represent the internet. He is one person who is not happy.
And then Alexis Hana and I reviewed Lady and the Tramp. Saturday, myself and Robert Winfrey will do some commentary for Overeem versus Rosenstrike. Sunday, the Canadians are coming, or we're going to talk The Crown Season 3. And then we're going to put the devil down in the hole, Gotham Central, Book 2, Jokers and Madmen. We'll also do another chapter, Chapter 2, in the great look at heavyweight boxing. We're going to talk Jack Dempsey, not Patrick Dempsey. That's an actor.
And not Patrick Duffy either.
No, sir. And then finally, we've got the last Metal Hammer of Doom review proper of the year of 2019, Life of Agony, The Sound of Scars. Sean Comer and I will do Long Road to Ruin for the Santa Claus. Friday night, John Warr and I will do Ortiz Jr. versus Solomon on DAZN. And then finally, on the 14th of December, myself and Robert Winfrey will do commentary for UFC 245 Usman versus Covington. I'm done plugging now.
Mark Radulich, ladies and gentlemen, give this man all your money. Go check out the Patreon. There's custom donations over there, but it's starting as low as $1 per month. There's some extra content on there. You might like it. It is over at Patreon. Radulich. Hold on, there's a slash in there somewhere. Let me tell you. It's patreon.com, Radulich. Go give the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. We talk movies, music, TV, comics, and wrestling. And obviously you heard some talk about boxing and MMA. I mean, it's just a whole lot of content right there at your fingertips. And I think the only other thing that I could potentially plug for myself is I will be showing up sometime soon. I haven't showed up yet, but sometime soon I will be showing up on the Adam Warlock and Thanos Resurrections. Let's try that again. Title of it is Resurrections, an Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast, where me and Al Sedano sit down and talk on his Friends and Enemies segment, and we go through a ton of books straight from the 70s. All sorts of stuff that I did not read. So if you like comic books and you like Adam Warlock, you like Thanos, trust me, he's got a lot of great information and a lot of fun stories being told over on that podcast, and I might be showing up there probably within a couple episodes. So other than that, Mark Radulich, let's get the hell on up out of here.
All right, folks, thank you for joining us on this disjointed conversation about Titan Season 2. For Jesse Starcher, I'm Mark Radulich. Be well, be safe, and behave.
Hey, Florida parents, choose the Florida Healthy Kids Health Plan that gives your child more. With Simply Healthcare Plans, Inc., they get no or low-cost doctor visits, prescriptions, and vision care. Plus, free extras, like $10 a month for over-the-counter items and more. Choose Simply at simplyhealthcareplans.com/Florida Healthy Kids. That's simplyhealthcareplans.com/Florida Healthy Kids. Click here to learn more about Simply.
The Starlight Lounge presents an evening with the Progressive Box.
Old moon, yeah. That's Hugo, tickling the ivories. He just saved by bundling home and auto with Progressive. Gonna finally buy a ring for that gal of yours, Hugo? Send her my condolences. Hi-oh! This next one's for you two. There's a burglar in my heart. Thank you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.